Welcome, everyone, to the Apoco-Larry podcast. I'm Steve. He is
the Beaker. Nope, not working, is it?
Well, I don't know.
I
mean,
always
you're
wanted
fine.
to be known as Beaker.
Yeah,
My brothers were called Beaker. I always wanted to be known as Beaker, and they always called me Van.
Van? Like, what? Yeah. Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Huh.
You know, it was my friend that dated my girlfriend at one point that called me Van, and everybody picked up on that. I don't know.
Oh, I already don't like the guy. I don't even know him.
Yeah, actually, I was mad at him. I didn't care that he did that. I was just mad at him for doing that.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast, that certain gentleman, a pox on your house. Anyway.
A pox on you, David Hayward. Not to mention names.
yeah. But if we were David Hayward,
actually a really good guy. We got over very quickly and got along very well.
Yeah. Oh well, you can like him, but I have to hate him now because that's the way that works.
Of course,
that works.
That's the friendship rule.
That's right. But tonight, my friend, or this afternoon, or this morning, depending on when and where you're listening. We're going to talk about Judges 10, and it's the story. It's the time of Abimelech, right?
I better stay with Dr. Van Beek.
Dr. Van Beek, yes.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah, so we're after the time of Abimelech, and we're going to talk through some other folks, right?
That's right. There's a couple of quick guys here that they mention some of these judges. You know, they just get their name in passing, as we will one day in the annals of history.
That's right.
There was a guy named Steve, and he liked cheese. But anyway, yeah, there's a couple of short ones here, and then we get into Jephthah.
Okay.
Love Jephthah.
Jephthah. We're holding out because it's in quality judging. Okay, folks. Chapter 10, verse 1. After the time of Abimelech, remember he had everything that was said about Abimelech came true. A man of Issachar, named Tola, son of Puah, son of Dodo, rose.
Yeah, I'm sorry that he's the son of these.
Yeah,
they just sound like total idiots, don't they?
That's right. That's right. What should we name the bird? I don't know. How about Dodo?
And what is it doing over there?
Yeah. Rose to save Israel. He lived in Shamir, in the hill country of Ephraim. He led Israel 23 years. He died and was buried in Shamir. Yeah,
so if you're worthy of a name in Scripture, I think you've done very well, even to get your name mentioned.
Yeah.
And so Tola did, and he delivered that portion of Israel. Remember, it's not all of Israel's being delivered.
Right.
It's different tribes. So
yep. So very important. Yep. Good point.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so we turn another page to quote it into Dickens sort of terms. He was followed by Jair of Gilead, who led Israel 22 years. He had 30 sons who rode 30 donkeys.
Yes, I think each one rode one donkey.
They didn't ride all 30 at the same time. They controlled 30 towns in Gilead, which to this day are called Havoth Jair. When Jair died, he was buried in Kaman.
Yeah. So those are two quick judges. Don't need to say too much about them. But now we get into Jephthah.
Okay.
And we get the rest of this chapter and two more chapters on Jephthah.
Okay, folks, so now we're at verse 6. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They served the Baals and the Ashereths, and the gods of Aram, the gods of Sidon, the gods of Moab, the gods of the Ammonites, and the gods of the Philistines. Because the Israelites forsook the Lord and no longer served him, he became angry with them. He sold them into the hands of the Philistines and the Ammonites, who that year shattered and crushed them. For 18 years they oppressed all the Israelites on the east side of the Jordan in Gilead, the land of the Amorites. The Ammonites, who also crossed the Jordan to fight against Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim, Israel was in great distress. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord, "We have sinned against you, forsaking our God and serving the Baals."
Yeah.
What?
And we all do this stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But when you read it and they compress, 18 or 20 years into a few verses, they just sound like they're utter idiots.
Yeah.
But But we see ourselves doing it, as
Yeah.
our country slowly slips away and we start doing some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But they did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They served the Baals and the Ashtaroths. Those are the gods, right?
Hmm.
And Aram, the Aramaic is the language.
Ah.
It's the whole area, but the main area of Aram is Syria.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you now.
These are the Syrians, yeah. And the gods of Sidon or Sidon, and Sidon, oddly enough, still exists today, and it's on the Mediterranean Sea, and it's in Lebanon.
Okay. Yep, that's
Yeah,
right. It's
so
a city, right? Yeah, that's right.
yeah, it's the one of the cities of Lebanon, and the gods of Moab, and the Moabites, and the Ammonites, right? The gods of the Ammonites, the Moabites and the Ammonites, those are the children of Lot.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. Remember his two kids,
Yeah,
by his daughters. Remember when after his wife became a pillar of salt.
right.
And then the gods of the Philistines, and the Philistines are the guys who we thought came over with the sea peoples.
Right.
And so crazy as it sounds, but they're starting to serve all of these gods,
Yeah.
which over time, like if this happened, right after Gideon, you wouldn't think too much of it. You would think much of it, but you got to remember this happened over years and years and years
Yeah. Yeah.
beyond the time.
Yeah.
So they slipped away and they just started serving all these other gods.
Yeah.
Somebody said it to me once. They said, so they come into the land under Joshua, and they don't know the agriculture of the land, the lay of the land, how to handle the things in the land. And the people are telling them, well, you serve this God, and that helps your crops and stuff. And eventually the people are saying, well, let's give it a go. If it's
Yeah.
working for them, maybe it'll work for us. And eventually you just kind of slip into this serving these other gods.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm.
And you want to be popular, and you want the people of the land. And remember, these people of the land, Israel was supposed to, under Joshua, they were supposed to get rid of all of these people.
Yes. Annihilate
And
them
many
all.
of these people stayed.
Yeah.
And then others are people that came in after too.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Verse 11 now. The Lord replied, when the Egyptians, which are a new addition to that list, you should note,
Yeah.
the Amorites, the Ammonites, the Philistines, the Sidonians, or the Sidons? Yeah, Sidonians.
Sidonians.
Sidonians, let's call them the Sidonians. The Amalekites, which, hey, they just showed up all of a sudden, and the Maonites oppressed you, and you cried to me for help. Did I not save you from their hands? But you have forsaken me and served other gods, so I will no longer save you. Go out and cry to the gods you have chosen. Let them save you when you are in trouble.
Yeah. So now this time you have the Egyptians, which remember the Egyptians aren't that far. They're just down to the south of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when they came across that desert for 40 years, someone said once they could have crossed it in a couple of weeks if they just walked straight across. But they wandered around in it for a long time.
Yeah.
And the Amorites, those are the people of Canaan,
Mm-hmm.
right? The Ammonites, I can't remember the Ammonites. Oh, yeah, they're that's Lot's, right? The
Yeah,
Moabites and
right.
the Ammonites.
Yeah.
Starting to forget them now.
No.
The Amalekites were Amalek was the grandson of Esau.
Oh,
So you see a bunch of these people. Some are from Canaan. The Philistines had nothing to do with them, but the Moabites and the Ammonites and the Amalekites, these are cousins
you're right.
that are causing you this much grief. Yeah, which is yeah. They also get in trouble later on in the prophets. The prophets go,
Yeah.
yeah, God's going to judge you too now for what you did to your brothers.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But right now they're the problem people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, sorry, it's a little aside, but would they have made that connection between each other? Like, yeah, this is a distant relative, but who cares? We hate them, so let's go and kill them.
I think they did know, because the judgment against them later on in some of the prophets suggested that they knew of their connections.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Now, when you come down to today and you try to follow them all the way to modern times, there are people that have done that. That's a tough road to try to figure out.
Sure.
Like which of these groups are living and causing Israel trouble now.
Right. Right.
Now we know Iran is Persia.
Right.
The Iranians, and Iraq was Babylon.
Right.
So we know that there's a connection there with those peoples.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so Israel's fighting people now that they probably fought then.
Everything old is new again, right? So
That's right. Well, you remember what's the number one rule? Well, the first rule is don't get involved in a land war in Asia. But number two,
never trust a Sicilian.
don't fight a Sicilian when death is on the line. The Princess Bride had it all right.
It had it all. Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Okay, verse 15. But the Israelites said to the Lord, "We have sinned. Do with us whatever you think best, but please rescue us now."
That's a weird expression, eh? Like, do whatever you want, but deliver us now.
Yeah.
So they're really hoping this whatever you want,
is rescue.
Well, what I want is to not deliver you now. That's what I want.
Yeah. Oh, verse 16. Then they got rid of the foreign gods among them and served the Lord, and he could bear Israel's misery no longer.
It's such human language, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The immense compassion that he has upon these people. And you go, oh, they're so stupid. And like you said, hang on a second. We did not fall far from that tree.
No. We are very close. And, fortunately, in the new covenant under Jesus, we actually get a lot more grace than these guys got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if I can say that. Maybe you're not allowed to say that because God's the same in the Old Testament as in the New. But it does feel like we get a little bit more forgiveness.
Yeah. At least our perception of it. Let's go there.
Yeah, let's go there. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Verse 17. When the Ammonites were called to arms and camped in Gilead, the Israelites assembled and camped at Mizpah.
So remember we were going to talk about Mizpah, weren't we?
Right. Sorry.
So they camped at Mizpah, and if you want to remember where Mizpah was, that's where Jacob and Esau met each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they made that pact. May the Lord watch between me and thee when we were absent from one another.
Right.
And people have necklaces with Mizpah on them. They're broken into two pieces, not realizing that they really hated each other when they made this pact. They were not pleased with each other at all. But because Jacob had in a real sense stolen Esau's birthright.
Yeah, absolutely.
In one sense. In another sense, Esau gave it up pretty easily.
Yeah.
But and remember the father. Remember when he was rubbing his arm and his mom says, "Put a little sheepskin on your arm and then you'll feel like your brother." How hairy was that?
My gosh.
Yeah.
Should have had it. Are you sure he wasn't a sheep all along?
Yeah, and then he got the blessing as well. So Esau and Jacob, this was not a good familial type of relationship. Yeah.
Verse 18, the leaders of the people of Gilead said to each other, "Whoever will take the lead in attacking the Ammonites will be head over all who live in Gilead."
Right, and that was the preparation for the coming of Jephthah. Do we want to read just a little bit?
Yeah,
into
I
11?
think we should here. Sorry, I'll move that so I can do that.
Yeah.
There we go. Sure. Okay. Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty warrior.
Gileadite. Hard to say, Gileadite.
Oh, gosh. His father was Gilead. Oh, that makes sense. His mother was a prostitute. Well,
Yeah.
Gilead's wife also bore him sons, and when they were grown up, they drove Jephthah away. "You are not going to get any inheritance in our family, because you are the son of another woman." So Jephthah, fled from his brothers and settled in the land of Tob, where a gang of scoundrels gathered around him and followed him. Why does this sound so familiar?
I know. This is not the story of Robin Hood.
And it sounds like the story of Abimelech, for crying out loud too, right?
Yes, very much. But yeah. And so I actually love Jephthah, and I've considered him the downtrodden one. Yeah. Other people treat him like he's some mafiosa, kind of guy. And remember, the same thing happened to David. He got chased away and had they didn't say scoundrels followed David though.
Yeah.
But he gathered people around him too.
Yeah.
So Jephthah is leading this gang of guys. So I mean, he's got leadership ability all over the place.
Yeah.
He's leading this gang of guys. And his brothers, from another mother, just hate him.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate this guy. Yeah.
Verse 4 of chapter 11. Sometime later, when the Ammonites were fighting against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. Come, they said, be our commander so we can fight the Ammonites. Jephthah said to them, didn't you hate me and drive me from my father's house? Why do you come to me now when you're in trouble? The elders of Gilead said to him, nevertheless, we are turning to you now. Come and fight. Come with us to fight the Ammonites, and you will be head over all of us who live in Gilead. Jephthah answered, suppose you take me back to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gives them to me. Will I really be your head?
Hmm.
The elders of Gilead replied, the Lord is our witness, we will certainly do as you say. So Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and commander over them, and he repeated all of his words before the Lord in Mizpah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
They hate him. He's down. It's a good Disney movie, really.
yeah, that's right.
Back when Disney did good movies,
Yeah,
it would have fit really nicely. Yeah.
yeah. Verse 12. Then Jephthah went and sent messengers to the Ammonite king with a question: What do you have against me that you have attacked my country? The king of the Ammonites answered Jephthah's messengers: When Israel came out of Egypt, they took away my land from Ammon to Jabbok and all the way to the Jordan. Now give it back peaceably. Jephthah sent back messengers to the Ammonite king, saying, This is what Jephthah says. Israel did not take the land of Moab or the land of the Ammonites, but when they came up out of Egypt, Israel went through the wilderness to the Red Sea and on to Kadesh. Then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, Give us permission to go through your country. But the king of Edom would not listen. So they also sent to the king of Moab, and he refused. So Israel stayed at Kadesh. Next, they traveled through the wilderness, skirted the lands of Edom and Moab, passed along the eastern side of the country of Moab, and camped in the other side of Aron. They did not enter the territory of Moab because Aron was its border. Then Israel sent messengers to Shidon, Sion, there we go, Sion, the king of the Ammonites, who ruled in Heshbon, and said to him, Let us pass through your country to our own place. Sion did not trust Israel to pass through his territory. He mustered all his troops and encamped at Jahaz and fought with Israel. What is he doing, a Stephen here? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. It's long, and I apologize.
No, it's all good. Then the Lord, the God of Israel, gave Sion and his whole army into Israel's hands. And they defeated him. Israel took over all the land of the Ammonites who lived in that country, capturing all of it from Aron to the Jabbok and from the desert to the Jordan. Now, since the Lord, the God of Israel, has driven out the Amorites before his people Israel, what right have you to take it over? Will you not take what your God Shemash gives you? Likewise, whatever the Lord God has given us, we will possess. Are you better than Balak, the son of Zippor, the king of Moab? Did he ever quarrel with Israel or fight with them? For 300 years Israel has occupied Heshbon, Aror, and the surrounding settlements and all the towns along the Aron. Why did you not retake them during that time? I have not wronged you, but you are doing wrong by waging war against me. Let the Lord, the judge, decide the dispute this day between the Israelites and the Ammonites. The king of Ammon paid no attention to the message Jephthah had sent him.
Now, yeah, so we'll stop there and we'll pick it up next week. But that was longer than I was anticipating.
No, it's all good. We needed to actually finish that off. Yeah.
But what I liked is this guy is a warrior. Remember?
Yeah.
Gathered scoundrel. So you think he's just a thug, but he's not just a thug. He very clearly tried to reason with them.
Yeah.
And actually, a very similar reasoning that Israel's using today. God gave us this land. Who are you to take this from us?
Right.
Yeah. And he's saying the same thing. God gave us this land. Why would you think that you can take this from us again? We've been here for 300 years. So why are you doing this thing that you're doing? And then they're gonna go and say, no, we're not accepting your reasoning. But I like that he didn't just come in and try to fight them. He came in and tried to negotiate with them first.
Right.
Which shows him to be a very, very, to me, it shows him to be a very intelligent leader.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't consider him the thug that they try to make him out to be.
Right.
That people I've heard try to make him out to be. He's not that way.
And if he's saying, if this is Israel repenting and saying, God, do with this as you will, Jephthah, plays upon that, saying, are you not satisfied with what your God gives us? Or maybe we'll let God judge between us and then, go from there.
Yeah, and whenever these guys challenge the other guy's gods against their gods, the other guys just lose miserably.
Yeah.
they never win that battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very cool thing. Love Jephthah. Love the man. He's always known as the foolish judge because of the thing that he's going to do in the next chapter, or later in this chapter, or actually in the next few verses, I guess. But I think he's a terrific judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, thank you so much for that, my friend. Like Larry said, interesting to lay down this thing. We see this sort of story that sounds a lot like Abimelech, except this guy actually has some wisdom behind him until we get to the next week. But anyway, we'll go there. Thank you so much for that. Folks, I hope you were blessed by what you heard tonight and just how God is working out the nation of Israel here. As always, we're so thankful that you listen. Thankful that we just see the listens as it shows up on the stats counter. That's encouraging to Larry and I. We appreciate it very, very much. Until next time, though, I was Steve, he was Larry, and this was the Apoco-Larry Podcast.